No, because you're making fun of, and that's why I want to stop. Because you have no ethics. Maybe you should learn to put one shoe on at a time, so you could learn some ethics and discipline and the way to talk.
Okay, I don't think it's disrespectful to use the Quranic method or the Hadithic method of figuring which animals are Jews or not. I think it's very respectful to say, listen, the Hadith knows how to figure out who a Jew is. It's the camel milk, sheep milk test. And then I apply that to other animals. And then why is that disrespectful to go with the method that Hadith uses?
Let's redo it again. Maybe we can encourage some debate.
It is a little disrespectful. I mean,
okay, well, I just think
it is the guy fighting on the right foot.
It's obviously trolling, but
I found an Islamic apologist website that addresses this hadith, and it counts it as one of the hadith where it's basically just Muhammad. They claim it's just essentially Muhammad speculating off the cuff, but that's not supposed to be the sort of thing that's taken with sort of divine sanction.
If anyone's actually interested, this was a tradition that was borrowed from the Talmud, I believe. Let me try and get the source.
so. Muhammad, he's just he's spitballing, he's speculating. You're asking like, which animals are Jews, and he's like, yeah, well, I heard the rats are Jews, and seems like I would have thought that the divinely guided person would have had the sense to know that probably not that these Jews were turning to rats, but secondly, that this is not a very good test. I think the more damning thing is that it's not a very good test to figure out whether the rats are Jews. So even if Muhammad is just speculating, his theories about how to figure out who the Jew rats are is not the most effective test. Like, I would think that he would have, okay, let's do a couple double control study, double blind control study.
Yeah, so there were protests in Northern Ireland.
See, instead of
some
just
weird
looking at the
town
milk,
name, I can't remember
and
what
other
it's called.
kosher foods, you know what I mean? If they like gefilte fish, that's some evidence. If they like, if they dislike
hey, Sam, I have a question. Sam, how do
Chinese
you know?
food, if they like Chinese food on Christmas, that's pretty good.
I have a serious question. How do you know that the test was about kosher food? Does it say that that's the relevant difference between
sheep milk is
I'm gonna
kosher?
say it's a test.
Well, no, I know. I'm asking like.
Sheep milk is kosher.
Is that what's being searched?
Well, I am doing a little bit of exegesis right now. Because it does. I looked into it, and sheep milk is kosher, and camel milk is halal. Is not kosher. What other reason could they be? What other information could they be gleaning from the fact that they like the sheep milk but not the camel milk, other than the fact that?
No, I think the answer of one is kosher, one's not makes the hadith make sense. I don't know that it's the only required answer to make the hadith make sense.
Here's a serious answer from, I think Sam will like the source, ChatGPT. Says the hadith you're referring to appears in Sahih al-Bukhari. It says Muslim scholars have offered different perspective on this hadith over the centuries. Number one, literal interpretation, the minority view. Some literalists might have taken the hadith at face value, but the group of Israelites will literally transform into rats due to divine punishment, etc. Number two, metaphorical or allegorical interpretation, the majority view. Most classical and contemporary scholars interpret the hadith non-literally, viewing it as a simile or a metaphor to explain theological and moral points that sinful groups of people can be debased or humiliated, not turned into animals physically. That seems like a reasonable thing. In a name, some scholars, Ibn Hajar, Al-Asqalani, his commentary on Sahih al-Bukhari, Al-Nawawi and his commentary, etc.
So, like, Sam, what I want to know is when I want to know is when I hear that
in my mind, but I'm afraid it is offensive.
Hold on, Sam. What I want to know when I hear the hadith is, at the time of the writing of the hadith, what is the cultural significance between sheep milk and camel milk? No, but for Muslims, what's the difference?
No, but it's only relevant to whether they're Jews or not. But I do want to
Do you
say.
understand? Do you understand what I'm asking? In other words, like,
Yes, I get it, but I
Okay.
don't think I don't know, but I don't think that's what's relevant. I think what's relevant is how it's significant to Jews, and the answer is that it's kosher. But I do want to say that if it is a metaphor, then why is it giving you the text?
Shut up, you Jew.
If you're just saying, hey, some people went against God and now God curses them, okay, metaphor, cool. But if you're saying, and then the way to find this out is to give them different kosher and non-kosher milks and see which ones they drink, it no longer seems like a metaphor.
But he's not giving it as a test. It's just a story that says, oh, look, there are some rats like this, they drink milk like this, that they're transformed Jews. And I mean, I don't see the problem with giving details. It's like, yeah, there's fables that give details about, like, oh, this animal did this and said this, and then this happened. But we all know it's a fable. It's like,
What if I said in English, you are lost, you son of a bitch? What if I said that? Are you really a son of a bitch? Are you literally a son of a bitch?
No,
It's a way to
it's a
curse.
swear word.
It's a way, yeah.
No, but if you said, Sam, you know Sam is a son of a bitch, and the way you know is that he barks when the mailman comes, I would then go, that sounded like less of a fucking metaphor.
No, that is exactly that. They're just building on that cursing, basically.
Right. And it says, and Sam, he wags his tail when he's happy, and he, like, howls at
Sam, it's just like Aesop's fables.
like can't you imagine a person who wants to, like, insult you and tell you you're an SOB doing all of that, like, just piling it on? Yeah, you wagging your tail when the way mailman comes, and it's like
Another way of looking at it, like, and the way that some historians have, like, explained it is, like, in the Babylonian Talmud and some apocryphal texts, there was, like, a Jewish tradition where, like, certain, I think it was the Babylonians themselves were transmuted into monkeys and demons and other sort of, like, creatures. So the speculation is that Muhammad was borrowing from that tradition when he,
the Muslims show.
That may be true, I'm not sure, but that doesn't seem like much of an apologetic defense.
No, not an apologetic, just a historical explanation.
I mean, sure.
You want to give the source in the Talmud?
Yeah, I'll fetch it.
Something that's really bizarre is that I've heard Muslims say that Jews' ancestors are apes and pigs, when in fact what it says in like Hadith traditions, and I think it may even say it in the Quran, is that there was a subset of Jews who were then transformed into pigs or apes, which is not to claim that us, like me and Mark and Mills, are descended from apes and pigs. So I don't know. It's a little bit weird that that idea doesn't have any biblical reality to it.
Also, I think Mark's going to say something. Never mind. Oh, come on, Mark.
Let's just read it again. I'm going to see if I can get a better understanding of it. The prophet, peace be upon him, said, a group of Israelites were lost. Okay, there's a bunch of lost Jews. Nobody knows what they did, but I don't see them except that they were cursed and that they were changed into rats. For if you put the milk of a she-camel in front of a rat, it won't drink it. But the milk of a sheep, it will drink it. I told this to Cobb, who asked me, did you hear this from the prophet? And I said, yes. And Cobb asked me the question sometimes. I said to Cobb, do I read the Torah? I tell you this is from the prophet. Okay, so, I don't know. It just seems like a little bit strange. Let's move on to another hadith. I think we've sheep milked this one, for all it's worth. Now it says that, oh no, she left, unfortunately. Oh no, don't leave.
Maybe Phoenix knows a lot about this. Maybe he can help us understand.
I have a joke in my mind floating, but I will not say it because I think it's.
That's fine. What do you think about this hadith? This Bukhari 3305.
I will not answer you. I will not answer you. I don't think that you are a sincere person.
Even if we're insincere liars, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have an opinion on Sahih Hadith. You said you're now a literal, what's the word that you used? Like the not Sufis, the Salafi. You're a Salafi now, so you should believe the Sahih Hadiths.
No, a Salafi means someone who understand the understanding of the predecessors. I will not call myself a Salafi, but I will call myself have knowledge on the Salafi stuff, right? So if you have knowledge on Egyptology, they will not say that you believe in Egyptian, like ancient Egyptian theology, but you are knowledgeable about that theology.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm knowledgeable about the Salafi point of view, but I will not call myself Salafi. So I prefer to be called Sufi or a student of Sufism. It is like someone who is not Christian, but they say that he specializes in biblical knowledge. Like Jordan Peterson, for example, I think he's an atheist, right? But in a way that he specializes in biblical knowledge. The same thing with the Salafi thing. I'm knowledgeable about the Salafi knowledge, but I don't call myself a Salafi.
We understand.
Certainly.
Did you have an opinion on why it says in Sahih Muslim that you should wipe your butt with an odd number of stones? Do you have do you think it has some sort of theological, symbolic meaning or something?